8 of the Formula PlayStation League is finally upon us. After the 10 rounds of Season 7, JT arrives into the new campaign as the current and now two-time world champion. That means Canute is not alone in the 2 championship club in the Formula PlayStation League, and he'll be looking to take the crown back after he was dethroned last season. We'll have 12 races coming up for you over the course of the next 3 months, so strap in for some intense racing and thrilling action. We start then at the 5.8 kilometre home of Formula 1 at Silverstone for the British Grand Prix. There were 6 winners in Season 7. Who will pick up the first one here? My name is Rob Kershaw. I'll be guiding you through tonight's action. Matt Vernal's just about scrambled his way into the commentary box this evening as the journey to crown the Season 8 champion begins. Matt, quite early to call who's going to win the title, but based off last season, who would be your early favourite?
Yeah, you'd imagine Vapor Canoe. Of course, he did run it quite close, even though he did miss a few races at that pace, although he has said he's turned all the assists off, so it will be interesting to see how he does. But my dark horse, maybe someone people might not expect if they haven't watched Division 2, is Lewis 05. I had the pleasure of racing him a few times last season, and he is incredibly fast. He has that Canoof JT one-lap quali pace where he's just a second ahead of the field. And he's my dark horse, I think, for the title this season, if he can get that consistency there.
Well, certainly has been a good arrival into Division 1. Of course, quite a few drivers have impressed us in the last couple of seasons, and Lewis, certainly in the pre-season test last week in Brazil, he definitely looked like a driver who was going to be capable of competing with the top guys this season. We'll see how he gets on. This then is Vapor Shea in the Renault. Shea comes into season 8, I should say, having just joined from the Ferrari team. 2 podiums in the 6 races that he had last campaign, and we'll see this season if he can propel himself closer to the top 3 in the championship as he comes into the Vale chicane, leads him into club in the last corner. And Matt, just take us around a lap of the British Grand Prix.
Okay, so we fly along here, one of the few straights on this track. This turn didn't used to be flat out. Just a few years ago, you did have to lift off through there, but it's now completely flat out on the run up to turn 3. A very heavy braking zone. Expect to maybe see some moves in there, some very late braking moves through 3 and 4 now. This is quite a tricky traction zone here. You might see a couple of drivers spin it, just trying to get on the power a bit too early, because it runs right onto this DRS straight, which again is one of the bigger overtaking opportunities on the track. You'll see it a lot in real life F1. Of course, that famous Bottas-Hamilton battle a couple years ago. Side by side right through this section. Again, this corner, try not to run too wide. There is that gravel trap on the outside. A couple drivers may get caught out there. And of course, down the old pit straight. Very famous into what used to be turn 1. Again, this is more or less flat out now on fresh super soft tyres in a quali run. Watch out for tyre wear later in the race, maybe catching drivers out. Of course, now to the famous Maggots and Beckett's. A very tricky section to get right, similar to the Suzuka S's, where you can often just lose a bit of rhythm through there, and you lose 5/10. Vapor Shavo nailing it, and this lap's looking very good for him so far. Into this corner, very quickie, very tricky, quick right-hander. There you go. In, of course, to the chicane just before this run round here. His name out, it's a 124.7. Again, watch the traction through there. You may see a couple drivers spinning it as the tyres wear on through the race.
124.6 then from Vapor Shea to go into first place, displacing the debutant Neymar in the Haas. That's going to take a while to get used to.
Lewis
goes P1 in the Ferrari, 124.2 from him, and as you mentioned, Matt, one very quick driver, which we're very lucky to have in this league, knowing light into P4. Will has gone P5 in the other Red Bull, so not a brilliant start for them. Of course, on the medium tyres is Will at the moment.
I wondered why we couldn't see the tyres and lap tyres.
Because I didn't enable it, that's why. There you go.
Miles Dunn saying a 124.8 as well. He's a potential guy to watch. We were quite impressed with him a few times last season after he made the move up to Division 1, so he could be a driver to watch out for potentially. Has a few very good results last season.
Yeah, Miles Dunn, very impressive. Got a victory in the 3 races that he had with us, scored points in all 3 of them. And once out-qualified a teammate, once out-raced a teammate as well. So clearly has some impressive pace, Miles Dunn, in the Racing Point for this season. Currently P4 of the 9 drivers who have thus far started that time. Vapor Canoe,
I was going to say,
in last season's championship, down in 9th place, 1:33.5. Not the best lap time we'll see this evening, and he will surely improve on that one. Vapor King in the other Renault is just rounding the final corner now. We've had Vapor Shea go into 2nd place. Vapor King slots in just behind him for 3rd, 1:24.6, marginally off his teammate Vapor Shea. So that's a strong performance so far from Renault. Here then comes Carwin Robb into turn 7. And a purple first sector as well, by the looks of it, from the Alfa Romeo driver. Carwin Robb, another driver who looks so impressive in the race. He and Harrison last season gave us a lot of entertainment as part of the Red Bull team. Through Cops corner,
there it
runs
is.
wide, invalidates the lap time. That's actually something we saw in 2015 quite a lot as well. Drivers having their lap times taken off them, especially because that corner's flat out, Matt. How easy is it to run wide there?
It's actually quite easy. Of course, you slightly miss a turn and you're running wide. The thing is, it's not completely flat out. You have to lift ever so slightly. It should, you'd imagine that these drivers are going to be taking it more or less flat out, but you often trim a few miles an hour through there, and but it's just a case of the turning point normally. If you miss that, you're going to be running quite wide.
There is Cobalt then in the McLaren for this season.
Cool.
Cobalt jumping across from Haas, having got 2 podiums in season 7. So certainly some promise to build on there for the American driver.
Of course, Renault will certainly be hoping for a better season than what they had last time out. TRT James and a litany of other teammates all kind of struggling to make an impact, shall we say, last season. A lot of DNFs, a lot of qualifying at the back of the grid. So it's certainly been a much better start to the season than what they had at Belgium last season.
Yeah, a combined total of 11 non-finishes for the Renault team last season. Of course, 7 in a row for TRT James. In what was a shocking start to the season for him, unfortunately. A lot of it was bad luck, and in the end he managed to pick it up. He got 2 point finishes in a row, one of those being a podium in Abu Dhabi after the race winner TDB was penalised at the end of the session. And funnily enough, we never saw from him again after that. That was weird, wasn't it?
I was going to say, I don't think I've ever seen commentators go that crazy for a P10 before, when James actually got his first points, I think, on Vietnam.
Yeah.
As he span across the line. I've never seen commentators go so crazy for like a P9 finish.
That's what you get. You just get ultimate commentary here in Formula PlayStation League. Through turn 1 then goes Cobalt, bringing that McLaren into turn 2, now through into Village. And that sharp braking zone, very tough corner to get right, and then into the loop of turns 4 and 5, as Matt said, a bit of a traction zone here. There is gear up to open up the DRS rear wing down the Wellington straight. Gets a bit of a toe as well off the Racing Point, very handily for him as he brings the car into Brookland. It's a bit of a late apex through there, and through turn 7 after, which brings him into Woodcut at turn 8, and then down that old home straight, which takes him in towards Cops corner. And these next few turns are a joy to behold, really, watching Formula 1 cars go through here, flat out through Cops, and then into Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. There's the first 2 of Maggots, and then the second 2 of Chapel as he runs
slightly wide.
and then into Chapel. Then it's not going to do his lap time any favours at all, but he'll carry on going in.
Oh, James!
James is retired from the session. He will not be setting a lap. There's an awful lot of traffic here for Cobalt to have to contend with.
Oh, and he runs wide.
The lap time, just loses the back end out of Stowe. And that, as a result, is his lap time in.
So James has crashed on the run down to that final chicane. I don't quite know how he's done that. That's on pit lane entry.
He must have done something similar to what Cobalt just did, but lost it a lot worse than Cobalt, I would imagine. I think that's probably what happened to TRT James, but if he is to score points this evening, it's going to take one hell of an effort from down in P16 on the grid for the Grand Prix. So James's luck, unfortunately, not really improving coming into Season 8, but you never know, he might pull off a masterclass in the Grand Prix. Start of Season 6, we had, well, at the start of the season, Decenio won from 18th on the grid, and Kasu then for round number 2 managed to get 2nd place from 18th on the grid. So being far down the order doesn't necessarily work entirely against you in league racing, but James will need a hell of a performance if he is to pick up some useful points at the start of Season 8 in towards Chapel then comes Bazooka Joe as he opens up that rear wing. And down the hangers straight as he watches out for the braking zone. Of course, not really a sharp braking zone here, just a bit of braking, a little bit of downshifting. Down to 6th gear he goes as he clips the apex. That's a pretty good run there for the McLaren. Much better than his teammate had just a few moments ago. Into the Vale chicane he comes, mounts the curb and clips the second one in towards Club. And this is he
invalidated it in the last corner.
Right at the end of the lap, Bazooka Joe. That's heart-wrenching stuff. That lap had just put him into the top 10, but very, very momentarily indeed. And that's his lap time gone already. Miles done then in the racing point. Round the final turn for him as he goes P2. 124.4, just a couple of tenths away from the pace setter Lewis, whose lap time at the moment, well, he's just...
That's an interesting lap.
His lap time looks...
Carwin Rob P3 as well. There's that... One lap pace, as we were saying last week of Carwin Rob as well. That one lap pace, he does have those laps in him.
Jayez goes into P4 in the Haas, so another debutant in the Formula PlayStation League, and a good opening lap from him there to go into 4th. So it's the two McLarens then who are yet to set a lap time so far. Cobalt and Bazooka Joe both invalidating their lap times.
A bit worried about Knoof. He's done another lap and it's only a 130.6. I don't quite know if maybe the no assist is affecting him more. There's just been some quite bad mistakes, but certainly not what we normally see from Knoof after 2 qualifying laps.
Yeah, that last lap time was nearly 3
seconds. You can tell he's not used to that ABS.
Yeah, so he did say in the Discord earlier that he's disabled all the assists, so he's now just running a complete sim setup, and that is him now down in P12. So the 2-time champion who almost made it 3rd in a row last season before being denied by JT is not making a particularly good opening statement in the championship, but this is a good run.
That's a very good run.
And Chapel for him, so he's 4.1 seconds up currently on his personal
That would
best.
be 126.5.
To launch him up the order, and of course he's still got a few corners to go as well. Very good run through Stowe Corner as he brings the car down the hill into Watervale chicane. Another little lock up on the left front. That'll cost him in the race if he does that too many times. Round the final corner at Club, and this from Vapor Canoe.
Hey, there we go. That's more like it.
124.4 from him. Brilliant lap, and that is much more like it in terms of his pursuit of his 3rd championship this season, with of course the champion JT not joining us this evening.
I just want to say, while there's not really many cars on the track, of course, something we are going to lose from F1, I believe, next season is the glowing brake discs, as we saw from Canute there running down into like the final sector, as the wheels will be once again covered as they were from 2007 to 2009. So, you know, it'd be sad to see that go, because I quite like that when you see the brakes red hot.
It was a fun sight, wasn't it? Yeah, quite an enjoyable thing to see. I think the sport could benefit from sights like that, couldn't it? Seeing those glowing brake discs, it just adds to the, I guess, the theatre of the sport. So yeah, it'll be a shame.
This feels like the elimination qualifying from a few years ago right now. Everybody's just sat in the garage waiting to go out for that final run.
Yeah, nobody's particularly interested right now in heading out on to the circuit. Vapor Canoe, of course, is making his way back into the pits, but pretty much everybody else is in the pits. Lewis is headed back out.
You see, though, I mean, he's still 2 tenths clear. Lewis does have that just raw pace, very almost Hamilton-esque if you want to compare it to a real driver, where, you know, he'll just pull a lap out and you just can't quite work out where he's got all that pace from.
Yeah, he's really making waves, isn't he, straight away in Division 1. There were talks at the end of Season 7 of him being promoted up to Division 1. He opted to stay in Division 2 to try and see off the championship in the 2nd tier. It looks here as though he's an early contender for the title here as well. We've got an Alfa Romeo in P3. It was an Alfa Romeo that won the first ever World Championship British Grand Prix here. Giuseppe Farina winning in 1950. Of course, that was the first ever Formula 1 World Championship Grand Prix. So a lot of prestige around this circuit, which has changed an awful lot over the years.
Cool. I've just noticed, actually, if you look at 2nd to 5th, they're separated by 0.08 of a second. That's quite a tight little pack there, just behind Lewis.
It really is. So the podium fight is going to be a very interesting one. Good spot that. Round the final corner then comes Lewis. So
look how much track he's using. Wow.
Yeah. Will this be an improvement on his previous effort was put in on provisional pole position.
According to the game there, he did set a 124.2 on an out lap, so
Not sure about
I
that
don't
one.
think that was quite right.
Yeah. I don't think he cut any corners on the way around, but round the loop of turns 4 and 5 then Carlos Lewis as he opens up the DRS and now comes down at the Wellington straight in towards turn 6. There was an event here before the 1950s. Oh, as
he's run wide.
Time, just as
I don't think he's got time to get back to the pits and get out again either. It'd be very close if it is.
Yeah, potentially, but it will be very tight indeed. Cohen Robb then has just started the lap in the Alfa Romeo. I was going to say, before the 1950s, there was actually a non-championship event here in which actually there were some sheep that ran across the track. So it was called the Mutton Grand Prix. So just an interesting fact for anyone who wanted to know that.
At least it wasn't a madman down this straight. I suppose that's probably a bit better.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. We might see that this year when we go to Silverstone, but that remains to be seen. Hopefully, of course, we're allowed to go. As through turn 7 then goes Cohen Robb. Good exit that.
That's a really good launch.
Can he then launch himself up into the front row on the grid? There's been 4 victories here from seconds.
Oh, Lewis is retired. He obviously couldn't get back round.
Yeah, so Lewis retiring from the session then.
So that's the benchmark. All the drivers behind him now are going to know that's the mark they've got to aim for to try and get pole position.
Well, there was a note earlier on ahead of this season that there would be a penalty point given out to drivers who retired in the pits, and I believe that's what Lewis has done. That actually applies to qualifying as well, unless you retire at the end of qualifying.
Oh no!
Renault just gets out of the way there for Cohen Robb. Is in towards the final chicane. He comes as he clips the curb, and then the second one.
It's a very good run. This could be good.
The final corner, this for Cohen Robb, and it is P1.
Oh, what a lap!
4.2 to steal pole position away from Lewis. He'll be regretting the invalidated lap time and the subsequent retirement that came from it. A brilliant lap there from Cohen Robb, and the Alfa Romeo out of nowhere looks set to take pole position in the Formula PlayStation League in what would be for Cohen Robb his second pole position in his FPSL career. Vapor has just made his way round. The two Renaults have been looking relatively strong so far, but they've just fallen down the order because of some really rapid lap times that have come in, not least from Cohen Robb, who's just taken pole. Miles Dunn, Vapor Canute, Jayez have all gone out there. They're on out laps at the moment. I
was going to say, this is going to be a very exciting end to qualifying. 3 very quick drivers, all now aiming for that pole position. Of course, Cohen Robb's not going to set another lap, so they've all now got their benchmark to aim for.
And Bernie Eccleston won the elimination qualifying. Goodness. Into Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel then comes Vapor Shea, I should say. This isn't highlights, this is live. Shea then down the hanger straight. He's just trying to take as many shortcuts as he possibly can. The shortest
was that a purple
run.
sector 2 there by Vapor Shea, possibly by the looks of it?
Round Stowe, down the hill he goes into the heavy braking zone then of the Vale chicane into third gear. Stays in third through the second part.
That's a very good line.
Corner. What can Shea do here? Currently P6.
Oh,
now P3,
what a lap!
124.3 displaces Miles Dunn, but he's out there as
well.
Oh
no, he's cut the corner.
Corner cut, turn 6.
Vapor King up to P5.
To fifth to displace this man, Vapor Canute, the 2-time champion, then down to P6 at the moment. Can he improve on that? Can he jump ahead of the 2 Renaults? Can he get himself into the top 3? We already know Miles Dunn will not be improving because of his lap invalidation.
What's his lap looking like so far?
Canute then into Stowe corner and then down the hill for the last time. Just one more braking zone to negotiate before he finishes his qualifying lap. Slight lock-up again, won't have cost him all that much time. Now round the final corner, Vapor Canute. What's this going to be for the Williams?
Oh!
It's third place, 124.2, just ahead then of Vapor Shea. Jayez now in
Harrison
the
up to P5 as well. Oh!
P1! Jayez with a brilliant lap in the Haas!
What a lap that is, a 124.1!
He launches himself up the grid into pole position. What a lap that is, out of absolutely nowhere. Jayez, the debutant in the Formula PlayStation League, has robbed to pole position. A fantastic lap. Lewis, well, we thought he had it in the bag, then we thought Cohen Robb surely had it, and out of nowhere, it's Jayez in the Haas who takes a phenomenal pole position in his first ever Formula PlayStation League Grand Prix.
What a lap by Jaez as well. I mean, what a way to make a mark on your debut in a racing league, to come out and set pole position to dethrone a guy who most people thought was going to be one of the quickest on the grid this season. What a lap.
Incredible stuff, and that is our first pole sitter of season 8, and probably not one we necessarily expected towards the end of the session, but yeah,
wow.
Giants really managed to pull a lot of lap time out of the bag there, and as a result, Carmen Robb forced down to second and Lewis forced into third. And what could have been for Lewis if not for that invalidation, because you just wonder, did he have more lap time in the bag? And you probably did, Matt.
Yeah, you'd expect him to. He's very, very quick, Lewis. I think Carmen Robb may have had his own Felipe Massa moment there as well. Of course, he would have been very happy seeing his name at the top of the grid, only to see it jump down a spot just a few seconds later.
I wonder if he headbutted the wall afterwards as well. Jaez then, look how close it was.
Wow.
In pole position just in front of Carmen Robb. Lewis has to settle for third in the end in qualifying. Vapor Canoe, I can assure you he's not Australian, in fourth place in the Williams. Vapor Shea in P5. Harrison P6 for AlphaTauri. Miles Dunn in 7th. Vapor King in 8th place. Cobalt 9th. Neymar rounds out the top 10 in the second. Haas Will in 11th for Red Bull. Bazooka Joe P12 for McLaren. Knowing Light in P13. Benjamin 14th.
And James.
AlphaTauri. Elian P15, and James retired from the session early on, didn't set a lap time, and he will start 16th and at the very back of the grid for the race. I said at the start that it was going to be difficult to predict a champion come the end of the season. It's impossible to predict who's even going to be on pole position, so this should be, Matt, a hell of a 12 races in season 8.
I mean, if it's going to be this close every race, this is going to be like a 2012 situation. We might have 3 or 4 drivers who can all win the title on the final race, and that would certainly be exciting to see.
I hope so. I hope we have that many drivers trying to win it at the end of the race. It would be, would be a great sight. It would certainly keep us entertained in the commentary box. And, well, the Silverstone circuit, it is historic. It has undergone a lot of changes in the past. The Abbey chicane, actually used to be the final corner once upon a time. So the track used to cut across, and what is now turn 7 used to be turn 1. So awful lot of changes going on. Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, the reason that Maggots is 2 corners and Beckett's is 2 corners is actually because it used to just be one left-hander, one right-hander, and another left-hander again, in what used to be a much shortened circuit. And it was changed again. Abbey was a left-hander, but now, of course, Abbey a right-hander going into turns 2 and 3. So it's a track that has been lengthened, not once but twice, and it's a track that so far tonight has given us a lot of entertainment in qualifying, and we are expecting much of the same in the Grand Prix. So tyre choices, only 2 drivers have gone for the medium tyres. Of course, starting outside the top 10, you get a free choice of tyres for the Grand Prix. Bazooka Joe and Benjamin have opted for the medium tyres. Everybody else on the grid on the soft compound of tyre. Any surprises there, Matt, with that one?
Well, I'm surprised more of the guys down the back didn't maybe go on the mediums or hards. Unfortunately, in the F1 game, this track is nowhere near as ruinous on tyres as we know it is in real life. Of course, last year Lewis Hamilton limping over the line with only 3 tyres still intact. But yeah, the game's predicting a 1 stop as well. I think that could be a bit tyre weary at various points through there. I probably would have gone on the hards if I was towards the back, which I would be. You know, I'd probably start on the hards and just gamble that there isn't going to be a safety car. Of course, not many walls close to the track round here. So maybe just gamble and run it late and try and make up a pace through the softs at the end.
I wouldn't even make the 107%. Yeah, of course, the top 10 unable to choose their tyres for the race. They start on the tyres they qualified on, and everybody qualified on the soft compound of tyre. Of course, you touched on it in qualifying about the really close gap that there was between 2nd and 5th. Obviously, it was a super close gap out front at the end. So the battle for the win's going to be close, and the battle for pretty much every position looks like it's going to be close.
Yeah, not much of a gap between really many of the drivers throughout the field. Only a 10th or 2 even further down the grid. So we should hopefully be in for an evening of exciting racing. Of course, Silverstone does lend itself quite well to racing as well. Several heavy braking zones, several overtaking spots. If you're brave enough, we could certainly see some spectacular moves, I feel, as we go through this race.
But the first ever British Grand Prix was won by an Alfa Romeo. Cohen Robb will set his sights on winning for Alfa Romeo here. It was, of course, the first ever Championship Grand Prix, the first race of 1950, and it will now be the first race of Season 8 in the Formula PlayStation League. Will history repeat? Will it be an Alfa Romeo up front, or will history be made? Will a Haas win here at Silverstone in Season 8? We're about to find out. All those questions about to be answered as we get underway here in Silverstone. Been a long wait for Season 8, but we're finally ready to get underway. The British Grand Prix is underway. Very short wait for the lights to go out. It's a good start from pole position for Jayas. Very good start for the
Canute,
who might go down the inside of everybody, but Jayas manages to keep hold of first place. Cohen Robb just behind him. Vapor Canute into turn 3. Does he go down the inside? He tries to, but he's now being attacked by Lewis in the Ferrari, and Lewis behind down the inside now for turn 4. Has the inside for turn 5. But can't quite get ahead. Canute just about has the superior grip. Oh, very wide goes the Racing Point. Miles Dunn.
He's had a horrible start.
Track. I think Elliott as well having a poor start in the other Racing Point. So both.
What's happened to Miles Dunn? He's dropping positions. He's lost 5 off the start.
Yeah, both Racing Point, both pink cars really making a horrible start to this.
Oh, knowing lights had an issue. Knowing lights gone round.
Somewhere in the Red Bull. There he is.
I think he spun.
Front wing. I don't think he has, yeah, so I think it was just a spin for him. He's just very quickly rejoined the back of the pack. Miles Dunn,
he's immediately climbing back up.
TRT James now going side
Look
by
at James.
Benjamin in towards Maggots, Beckers and Chapel.
Yellow flags! Oh!
Vapor is off the track.
I think
he's
Will.
Front wing.
Will's gone round as well.
Yep, so Will made contact then with Vapor. Will rejoins the circuit. An incident packed opening lap, but it's Jayas who still holds the lead. Bazooka Joe and Neymar have just been going side by side there. They are looking at Elliott as well in the Racing Point as Neymar comes
into the pits. I wondered where he was going for a second there.
Yep, reinventing the
Lewis, what's up? Oh, no, hang on, no, that's a glitch. Don't worry, that's me getting excited over the game, deciding to shuffle the pack around for no reason.
The lovely timesheet glitch that we get so used to seeing on the game. We actually love it more and more every time.
Oh yeah, JS is currently ghosting because the game doesn't know where he is, so...
GG Codemasters.
Also, apparently DRS is open on this lap as well, so Codemasters having an absolutely beautiful night with the glitches so far.
Yeah, it's currently lap 2 of the race and not lap number 3, I can assure you of that. It has Will in P1 and I can assure you he was not currently in first place. The timing screens will fix themselves eventually. This is just a Codemasters issue that we experience every single time in League Racing.
What start for Jayas though? He's about 8 tenths away already. If he can extend this a little bit more, he's going to be out of DRS range right out of the gate.
Yeah, I think the likes of Cohen and the Vapor Canute have been very much surprised by the pace of the Haas so far, and he's made a very good start as well to this British Grand Prix.
Yellow flags, James is out! He's lost it through Chapel!
And TRT James retiring.
Yeah, on the exit of Chapel, he spun it into the wall.
Oh dear, oh dear. So.
Oh, James!
Well, it just keeps happening, doesn't it, to TRT James? And it's another retirement. It's his 8th retirement in the last 11 races in the Formula PlayStation
VSC as well.
And the virtual safety car is now deployed as a result. So, well, Jayez has managed to extend that gap.
Oh, hang on, yeah, he's managed to gain a second under the VSC. Yeah. I don't know if Rob's just going too slow or...
Yeah, there was no penalty picked up, so Jayas definitely didn't break any rules in the process, but yeah, he's managed to gain a bit of time there as a result.
Oh, knowing Light's got a drive-through as a lion for speeding under the VSC. Yeah, so Miles Dunn overtakes Harrison as well down the straight.
Yeah, Miles Dunn then getting himself in front then of the Alpha Tauri just behind. Vapor Canute is just defending for his life at the moment from Lewis, although Lewis wasn't quite as close coming out of turn 7 as he was at the very start there.
Oh, he's going to be right behind them though as they go into Maggots and Beckett's here.
It's going to be such a tight race for the podium, you feel, with Lewis coming through the pack. Canute's trying to look ahead of him at Cohen Robb, but he, at this point, can't help but look at his mirrors at the speedy Ferrari. Right
Now DRS is going to be enabled. This isn't a glitch this time. It is actually active.
Yeah,
Lewis very close.
Here comes Lewis. Canute has DRS as well, which is just about going to save him as they get to the end of the hangar straight. Of course, he's got his eyes set on passing.
Oh, wow, Lewis!
Though, is going to try maybe and go for the move down the inside, but Canute breaks very late indeed and denies any possibility of that happening. Cohen Robb's still 1.5 seconds then behind Jayas in the lead.
That Williams mirrors right now is going to be as red as his tyres. Just all he can see behind him is Ferrari. Lewis was so close into the run into that chicane.
Knowing like then into...
he hasn't got damage. Oh, he's got a penalty.
Penalty for speeding under the VSC. So it was a race that wasn't going particularly well for Knowing Light on the first lap, and it is now going even worse for the Red Bull driver. Miles Dunn then trying to make some progress back up the order. He's chasing up to Vapor Cobalt and Vapor King as well, just in front of him. King is just about hanging on to the back of Lewis in the Ferrari, and Cohen Robb is chiseling away at that lead out front. It's now 1.2, having been as high as 2.5, but that was of course under the virtual safety car where the gaps naturally go higher because the expected time of arrival goes up because the cars are going slower. So that's the reason for that one, and it is nearly within DRS.
Look how close.
He might get it done here down the hangar straight with DRS. He's actually a little bit further back than I thought he was going to be, and it looks as though Vapor Canute will survive this latest assault. Canute once again edging closer to Cohen Robb, but nothing doing for anyone down the hangar straight. Just at the moment 15 drivers left in this Grand Prix. TRT James, the early retirement from the Grand Prix. Sadly for him, yet another non-finish. He's unfortunately getting quite used to that in the FPSL. Well, we said it was going to be quite a drive for him from P16 to get some good points this evening, and it was a drive that didn't even get to the end of lap number 2, sadly for him. The other Ferrari, though, still flying the flag up in P4, chasing down these podium places with Canute and Cohen Robb just in front of him. Good exit out of turn 4, but Canute with a good enough run himself, and that should see him keep in front of the Ferrari by the time they get to Brooklands and turn 6.
You just know as well, Cohen Robb's going to be begging to get DRS himself because he's going to be able to see the lap time and the interval time between him, Canute and Lewis just falling and falling each lap, and he's going to know they're catching him.
Yeah, and this lap requires so much concentration. Of course, the tyres are going to play a big factor in this Grand Prix. This lap completed at 70% full throttle, so it's a track that certainly will take a lot out of the tyres as this race goes on.
Oh, Canute's going to be quite close here, but he's lost about a tenth on the exit. I don't know if he's going to be close enough.
Lewis doesn't look as though he's going to be close enough to the Williams. Cohen Robb's still not quite with the DRS range of Jayas, so I think Canute's going to be wondering just why he can't edge closer to the Alfa Romeo. Cohen Robb's doing a splendid job currently in second place of keeping this Williams behind. Wide goes Canute. That's a chance surely for Lewis.
He's going to be very close.
I mean, he'll have the slipstream on the run towards turn 1, but there's not a lot he can do with it. Turn 1, of course, not an overtaking opportunity as Miles Dunn sets the fastest lap in the race.
Oh, wow.
He is flying at the moment as he comes through turn 1. He's making this recovery up the grid. He's now having a look at Vapor Cobalt into turn 3, but nothing doing there. But Miles Dunn really is having a fantastic drive at the moment, having run very wide on the opening lap through turn 5. He now, all of a sudden, looks as though he's a contender for the podium here.
Oh, sure, he's going to get the move done as well.
Down the inside on Cobalt into
It's going to be side by side.
Cobalt tries to brake later, tries to hang it round the outside. He's got the inside for turn number 7. Miles Dunn, has he got the grip? Has he got the minerals to try and hold it round the outside of there? Yes, he has. They're still going through turn 8. Surely Miles Dunn can't keep it round the outside.
Oh, this is going to be very brave here.
Oh, yes, he can. Has he got the move?
Oh, what a move.
Yes, he has. Fantastic move from Miles Dunn. Brilliant racing between himself and Cobalt. Those two drivers really going at it, gave each other enough respect, gave each other enough room, but in the end it was a fantastic overtake from Miles Dunn.
Watch Cobalt come back here though.
Here comes Vapor Cobalt trying to come back at him, and he is down.
He's got past.
He is back past him. So Miles Dunn's excellent work.
Oh, is he going to have a run here?
Go back down the inside.
Oh no, he backed out of it.
Cobalt managed to brake later and stay in front for the time being. What a battle this is between these two. Miles Dunn wants to get this done as quickly as possible because he wants to catch up to the pack in front of him, and being repassed there by Cobalt will have infuriated him.
Oh, He's so
Into
close.
turn 3 they go, and no, still not quite close.
I almost thought he was going for a move around the outside of turn 2, man. I was going to say, what a bold move that'll be.
He looks in the mood, doesn't he, Miles, to try a pass absolutely anywhere, and it's worked once so far, but unfortunately for him,
Carmen Rob only 4 tenths behind Jayez as well. We've kind of been so distracted by the great racing further back, we haven't realised quite how much he's reeled him in by.
Yeah, Jayez has lost a lot of time, hasn't he, out front. Carmen Rob is just using that experience to catch back up to the Haas driver. And we know how quick Cohen Rob is in the race. We know how good he is at wheel-to-wheel racing as well. So Jayez is going to have a bit of a handful here.
Even Vapor King's starting to tag onto the back of this train now as well. But what a train this is. Jayez, who took pole spectacularly, Carmen Rob, and then a 2-time champion Canoof, and probably the dark horse for the title in Lewis. What a race this could be.
Yeah, Miles Dunn has to find a way past Cobalt here.
He's so quick.
Yeah, of course, Cobalt's fallen 2 seconds now behind Vapor King. So Miles Dunn, if he wants a podium, has
up
to
the
get
inside. That's late.
Up the inside into Stowe. Cobalt has a little bit more grip around the outside. Canute with a penalty, and once again, Miles Dunn.
I think he's just drained himself for VRS. He just doesn't quite have that extra bit to get past Cobalt.
Yeah, then for the lead of the Grand Prix.
Oh,
Colin
it's so
Robbins
close.
Looking very menacing indeed, and can Jayez hold him off? It's been such an impressive debut so
Oh.
far for the debutant Jayez, but you can see how much more confidence Cohen Robb seems to have on the brakes going into turn 3. And is this going to be a change of leadership in this Grand Prix down towards turn 6? Cohen Robb with DRS. He's closing up massively.
He's going to be so close.
No,
he backed out. He thought about it.
Move, but in the end, it just wasn't quite worth the risk. Still a long way to go in this Grand Prix. You can't win the race yet, but you can lose it if you go for a silly move. And Cohen Robb understood that discretion was the better part of valour in that situation.
You just know the devil on Cohen Robb's shoulder there was just telling him to throw that up the inside. That racer that is in all of us who take part in these racing leagues was just screaming at him to dive in late on the brakes there against Jayez.
And he'll definitely think about it later on in the Grand Prix, and he certainly was thinking about it there as through Chapel he goes with the RS again. He's wary of the threat of Vapor Canute behind him as well. Lewis just half a second further back, and Cohen Robb isn't close enough. DRS isn't really playing as big a role as I thought it might.
No, I don't know if this is just me misremembering, but I'm pretty sure there used to be DRS through turns 1 and 2, didn't there? On the one up to 3.
There was in 2018, but after Marcus Ericsson's pretty heavy
that's it, yeah.
They had to remove it again as Lewis comes in.
Lewis pits. Maybe the tyres are wearing.
So he's the first one to blink there at the front runners. A set of the medium tyres is going to go on from the Ferrari.
That's a very early pit stop, actually, because I think the game was predicting about lap 12 to pit stop, so...
It's definitely a 2-stop, otherwise he would have gone on for the hard tyres if it was a 1-stop.
Well, the game reckons you could 1-stop softer mediums at the start of the round. I don't know if you saw the little graphic pop up, but the game was saying to only do a 1-stop softer medium, so possibly he might be able to drag those to the end.
Maybe. But, of course, the medium tyre, it has a lot more grip than the soft tyre. It's almost surprising how much more grip there is as you go down the compounds. But yeah, we'll see if you can make those tyres go to the end, and we'll see what these guys do. Will they go onto the hards? Will they go onto the mediums? Will there be any 2-stops? Who will make the 1-stop work? There's going to be an awful lot of strategy to come into play here, particularly because overtaking right now just seems to be quite difficult.
This is the issue. When the drivers around you, they're all the same pace, you're almost relying on a mistake. You see it a lot in real F1 where the drivers are all so good. The only way to overtake is either to have a far quicker car, which of course these guys don't, or for someone to make a mistake.
Look how close Cohen Robb is through Stowe Corner and down the hill towards the Bell Chicane. Jayez pits.
And Canute's in.
Canute pits as well, so both those two.
And King as well.
Pit lane. Vapor King coming into the pits. Cobalt.
Cobalt stays out.
Miles
I think Miles Dunn is in pit. No, he stayed out.
No, he has stayed out, right. So Cohen Robb then staying out as well.
I'm surprised Miles Dunn didn't just pit, just try and pull the undercut off maybe, just diving on this lap.
There's a set of the medium tyres on as well for Jayez, so he doesn't feel as though he wants to take the risk of differing from Justin. Although, to be fair, he wouldn't have known, would he, that Lewis has gone into the medium tyres, so I think he's just gone with what the game has told him to do. And yeah, potentially it is going to be a 1-stop on these tyres, but I think everybody's going to be skating around come the end of the Grand Prix. And Miles Dunn has just been passed by Harrison. So Harrison getting up to 3rd place. Miles Dunn down to 4th. It's Cobalt currently in 2nd place. So Miles Dunn spent all this time trying to get himself past Cobalt. He's now fallen prey to Harrison in the AlphaTauri. Harrison closing up to Cobalt. Miles Dunn, though, trying to get this overtake back again on the AlphaTauri.
He's got no ERS. He's drained it all. I think Miles Dunn seems to just keep leaving it in overtake. He did it earlier against Vapor Cobalt when they were battling as well. I don't know if he just kind of forgets in the heat of the moment that he's turned it up.
Yeah, Miles Dunn at the moment is, well, he's certainly been in some battles so far. Harrison in front of him is now aiming for 2nd place. He's closing up on Cobalt. He's down the inside on Cobalt.
Side by side. What a move.
He's got him. So Harrison then slides down the inside of the McLaren, and they both pit. Set of tyres. Carwin Robb also pitting in front of them in the Alfa Romeo. So we'll see what tyres he goes for. It probably will be a set of the medium.
We can also see how quick he's been these last few laps, as Will unfortunately picks up a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit. So
not ideal for him as he aims.
Let's see where Carwin Robb comes out here then, because Lewis has actually got past Vapor Canute as well. Under the pit.
Yeah, we didn't see that. There was so much more action going on that, yeah, Lewis has managed to clear Canute in the pit.
So where's Carwin Robb coming out then?
Carwin Robb has rejoined, and I think he's going to be in.
Oh, he's behind Vapor King, the undercut.
So Vapor King, yeah, has gotten ahead of him. So Lewis, Canute, and King all in front there of Carwin Robb. That's gone horribly wrong for the Alfa Romeo in terms of his strategy.
Will's on the intermediate tyres. I'm assuming that's a mistake.
Oh my goodness me! He spins and he's in the wall.
We've been doing the running of some numbers apparently at Red Bull.
That's a what happened next moment right there as he came out of the.
He clicked it.
I think he
I don't know. That's awful.
But yeah, onto the intermediate tyres. That's gone, the Red Bull. That's an early blooper reel in season 8.
Apparently,
we'll find one any worse than that. Oh, yeah, he's into the wall. So that's a deliberate crash from the Red Bull.
Apparently, into the barrier is Will's race engineer.
Yeah, they've really been crunching those numbers on the pit wall, and in the end, a brilliant move from the Red Bull team. So that's Will out of the Grand Prix. He'll also pick up a couple of, or at least one.
Neymar gets a time penalty as well. So
Will pick up at least 1 penalty point for the deliberately crashing out.
Look at all these fastest laps.
Yeah, Canute now 127.4 in the Williams as he looks to regain the position from Lewis. Of course, the problem for Canute is that he has that penalty as well to his name. One of only 2 drivers to have penalties currently hanging over his head. The other, of course, being Neymar down in P12 in the 2nd. Haas Jayas then currently occupying 3rd place, but he does have the net lead of the Grand Prix with Bazooka Joe and Benjamin, both yet to come into the pits. Lewis then chasing after Jayas. We saw Carwin Robb didn't have any luck in getting past the Haas. Will Lewis be able to find his way past him and into the lead of the Grand Prix once, of course, the current top 2 make their first pit stop of the race? I think Benjamin and Bazooka Joe are probably, Matt, banking on a safety car.
Well, I mean, if a safety car came out right about now, it would certainly be perfect for them. But I mean, those mediums, probably about 15 laps. They could probably go on those to switch onto the softs for the end of the race. 15, 16 laps. So these guys might actually catch up. They are catching up at quite a good rate. So look how close it is.
What they certainly don't want out front is a puncture to befall them before they get the chance to make that pit stop. Look at Vapor Canute, so close to Lewis into the Vale chicane, but at the moment not quite close enough to go up the other side. Of course, he couldn't dive down the inside of the Ferrari because otherwise he would have yeeted the back of the Haas. With Vapor King and Carwin Robb following them closely.
The old Sebastian Vettel into that chicane then, just into the back of the car in front.
With a nice little spin to go with it as well.
Yeah, and then you can claim that they changed lines on the way in as well, of course.
Yeah, it was. I still didn't really understand that from Sebastian Vettel. I don't think he really understood what he was saying either. But here comes Lewis then in towards Brooklyn.
He's got to be very close.
No.
Oh, so a tenth and a half behind. Oh, he's got a time penalty!
So that equals out with Canute's penalty. That just takes a little bit of pressure off Jayez's shoulders. And it probably now increases the incentive for Vapor King and Carwin Robb to catch up. Carwin Robb, though, still has a...
He's struggling for pace a bit here.
Yeah, he is struggling to catch up to this little pack in front of him.
Oh, Vapor King, another time penalty. Oh
dear.
no.
So that's no longer an incentive for him because he's just thrown it away by running wide. The extra
Colin Robb as well! Come on, guys!
Colin Robb with a penalty, but Lewis has gone wide going into Chapel. Now here comes Vapor Canute with the slipstream. Surely here he's going to get past the break. No, he's not. I really thought he would have enough there after Lewis's little, well, wasn't really a detour, but it certainly was a mistake going into Chapel. But Vapor Canute couldn't take advantage of it.
Yeah, Canute's been very, very conservative with his moves so far. Really not going for anything that isn't guaranteed. So maybe later in the race, maybe he's just realising it's the first race of the season, better to bank some points for later on rather than try a spectacular move and end up in the wall.
I really thought this was going to be a bit of a haven for overtaking this evening. But yeah, there's been a little bit of conservatism in there, if that's a word. And yeah, certainly a lot of struggles with DRS, of course, a DRS train. As you said, everybody being so close to pace. Here comes Lewis again, not quite close enough. Once again to Jayez. Everybody being so evenly matched for pace, it's just so difficult to break out of that train and to get a move done. With Benjamin and Bazooka Joe still not pitting, now 7 seconds ahead of Jayez, who is closing that advantage by a vast rate of knots.
Benjamin gets a penalty.
AlphaTauri, so that'll give Bazooka Joe the advantage in terms of getting past him as Joe runs ever so slightly wide going into Chapel himself in the McLaren. Such are the grip levels.
Oh, Lewis, he's got a good run as well, surely.
He's got the chance. He's got DRS, he's closing up on the Haas, and Lewis
has he got it done? Yes, he has.
The slow corner, and he gets past the Haas.
Oh no!
What a save!
What a save!
What a catch that is from Lewis. I thought he'd lost it on the exit of Stowe Corner, but a brilliant bit of driving. Saw him keep
Wait, where's Vapor Canute? He spun! Vapor Canute's round!
Oh, Canute, we were watching Lewis nearly spin, but Vapor Canute has spun. Oh no, Vapor Canute, who was challenging for the podium, has gone round in the Williams, and right before the 1,000 metre run between the final corner and turn 3, the Williams has probably thrown away any chance he had of getting on the podium as Bazooka Joe comes into the pits for McLaren. And is that another set of softs on the car?
He was on the mediums to begin with, though, Bazooka Joe.
Well, it's a set of softs, but
well, we saw the opening stint go.
Yeah,
well, Colin Robb did 11 laps and he had quali laps on his tyres, so we know they can go to the end. But the question is, those tyres are going to be pretty worn. The last few laps are going to be pretty slow. They're not going to have much left.
I think it will be squeaky bum time towards the end of the session. For him, it was definitely squeaky bum time for Lewis. He'll have some sweaty clothes by the end of the Grand Prix after that one. And Vapor Canute will be extremely disappointed to have lost it in the way he did. Jayez here has not given up on this position. He's still wrestling that car around to try and catch back up to Lewis. But
Yellow's in sector 2. One of the Hasses is round. I think that might be Neymar.
Yeah, Neymar I think has probably lost it then. Yes, he has. He's on the
and his front wing as well.
So this has not gone well for him. So we've got one debutant in the Haas who has made an absolute stormer so far, and the other one, unfortunately for him, for Neymar, it just hasn't quite gone his way so far.
Harrison got past Miles Dunn.
Yeah, Miles Dunn getting passed by Harrison.
Oh, are they side by side?
They are.
Whoa, what happened there?
Harrison diving down the inside, going into the second part of the Vale chicane. These two have been at it for quite a few laps, and Miles Dunn has
what
the
a run
towards the first corner. But once again, there's nothing he can do going through turn 1. It's a flat
lion.
right, but into turn 3 they come. Miles Dunn here. Does he go for an overtake?
Harrison's gone defensive.
The car in the middle of the circuit. Miles Dunn tries to cut back underneath. Now he can cut back underneath on the exit of turn 4, going into 5. This will set him up nicely for the run.
It's got
with
DRS
in towards turn 6. Harrison
surely
immediately goes to the inside to try and defend, but Miles Dunn here will go to the outside.
Oh, they're still side by side.
Can he get the move done? Harrison bravely defends the inside and stays ahead of Miles Dunn for the time being, but he still has this line over Harrison. And out of turn 7 they go. He'll get the slipstream going in towards turn 8. Can he go side by side? Yes,
what
he can.
A slingshot!
And he's down the inside going into turn 9. Can he make this?
Oh, Harrison
tries to go to the outside. Brilliantly defended defends the position. Harrison round the outside of Cobb's corner. Brilliant bit of defensive driving there from Harrison. I thought for sure he was destined for the outer extremities of the circuit as he defended the position round the outside.
Oh, it's Miles Dunn.
But he stayed in front. Miles Dunn then with the slipstream again. Once again with DRS going in towards Stowe, but not close enough this time for the overtake.
We need to jump up to Colin Robb. He was only 600ths behind Vapor King. He's so close.
There he is. And is this going to be some side-by-side action through turn one? Not quite. So he won't get it done just yet, but Colin Robb here is really coming to his own
pushing him through the corner.
Through turn three they go, and he tries to go down the inside. Ooh. It's a little bit of a half move, and Vapor King does very well to see that one coming from the Alfa Romeo. Gives him just about enough space to stay there, and of course for both of them to stay in the Grand Prix. But here he comes now. Great exit once again for the Alfa Romeo driver this time, and down the inside he goes into Brooklands, and he gets the move done.
Parked it right on the apex as well. Got rid of that cutback by Vapor King. He just parked it on the apex. He just got rid of that thing before Vapor King could even give it a go.
At the very beginning of the stint, Colin Robb looked to be struggling for pace, but he's just got past the Renault, and now he's looking to close up to Colin Robb and Jayez.
I don't think Vapor King's giving up.
Down the hanger straight through the sequence of corners, through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel they go, and Vapor King is looking pretty close, but he's got a bit of dirty air, and I think that'll put pay to his chances of getting that position back. He's now 0.8 of a second
Jayez
behind, as Jayez has a look at passing Lewis, but isn't quite able to get the move done on the Ferrari just yet.
Benjamin gets a 5-second penalty.
Yeah, so Benjamin finally coming into the pit lane, but picking up another penalty in the process. So that'll be a drive-through for him, I believe.
There's a 5 seconds,
5 seconds,
so...
Right, so they'll need to hold him in here.
Well, he's already got a 3-second penalty as well, so...
Well, they won't hold him, so that's going to be 8 seconds worth of penalties there for Benjamin at the end of the Grand Prix. Put on a set of the soft tyres. He might at least get the fastest of the Grand Prix. He'll have the freshest tyres. In fact, no, he won't. Neymar will have the freshest tyres.
Yeah, and a fresh front wing, of course.
Yeah, and hopefully he doesn't break it. In trying to set the fastest lap. Miles Dunn then still behind Harrison. So Miles Dunn, well, he was looking earlier in the Grand Prix to get up towards the podium places, but he spent a bit too long stuck behind Cobalt, and now, of course, he's engaged in this battle with Harrison for 6th place, and 6th really at this point. You'd imagine is probably his best chance at this Grand Prix. Probably the only points he'll be able to get, unless, of course, there's more drama in front of him, as we saw for Vapor Canute earlier. But Canute, though, after that,
he's kind of caught back up, hasn't he? He's done very well.
So very good pace there from him. Lewis, of course, after Benjamin's pit stop, is once again the race leader, but he has a penalty to his name, and Jayez is not leaving him alone. So Jayez knows that he just needs to stay within distance and not get a penalty himself.
Oh, a Cobalt.
A penalty. And of course he will be the race winner in his first Formula PlayStation League Grand Prix.
I mean, the way Jayez could look at this is Lewis has a penalty, Colin Robb has a penalty, King and Canute all do. That's the 4 drivers around him. He doesn't need to overtake anyone. He can just quite happily sit behind Lewis and follow him for the rest of the race. But of course, he's a racer. He's going to want to win on track, isn't he? I don't think anybody will, just be happy to not win on track as Neymar crashes out.
So Neymar is out of the Grand Prix, so
out of the final corner.
And he's now crashed probably down the home straight then. Yes, down the home straight in the Haas. So that's a shame for him. We've got one Haas in second.
Oh my God, look at what Jayez has. I hope he hasn't sped under a safety car, but he's so close.
Yeah, he is very close, and depending on when this VST ends, he could have a real chance to get past the Ferrari. Ferrari currently leading this Grand Prix, one of 12 constructors to win here, along with the likes of Lotus, McLaren, Williams, Renault, Benetton, Matra won here as well back in the day. That was a name I hadn't actually heard of until I did my research on this circuit, but there you go, they're one of the 12 who have won here. And
this is a very long VSC. It's not even come up as ending yet.
When is it going to end? Because depending on when it does end, it could be a great opportunity for Jayez to take
the drivers just trying to keep that delta in the green, aren't they?
Yeah, so it's a tough one. He wants to catch up, but of course it's ended not at the best time for Jayez down the hanger straight, and so he'll have to restart that work. But of course, as I say, doesn't have to actually pass the Ferrari. He can just stay behind, provided of course he keeps it clean himself and doesn't pick up any penalties between now and the end of the Grand Prix. Vapor King then.
Well, Lion with another penalty. He might get black flagged at this rate.
Yeah, the Lion down in P30. It's not gone well for him, has it? Brilliant in the Racing Point. He stayed at Racing Point for this season, having also been there last season as well. 9 races and 5 points finishes in that time. Doesn't look as though he's scoring any points this evening. Miles Dunn, very close, meanwhile, isn't he, to the back of Harrison once
again.
And meanwhile, Cobalt's catching up to this chase. This could be a 3-way fight for P6 as Harrison goes defensive. Miles Dunn catches up, going into Brooklands. Once again, doesn't look close enough going into turn 6 and has to settle in behind the AlphaTauri for another corner.
Interestingly, though, Miles Dunn didn't have overtake on, so I don't know if he's heard me and gone too far the other way now, and he just never turns it on maybe to say, oh no, he has, to save his DRS.
Oh, here we go. He's going to try and go around the outside of Cop's corner. Can he do this?
Whoa!
Oh, he can,
so close!
Harrison is still there. He's still side by side, but surely here, yeah, Miles Dunn has it done.
What a move!
That's a fantastic overtake. Didn't look as though he was going to be anywhere near close enough going into Cops, but instead he went round the outside of Harrison and got the move done. And he saved up some overtake as well to use down this hanger straight to try and defend. Can he defend it though? Harrison's down the inside and he gets the position right back again, but he picks up a penalty in the process for corner cutting Stowe. Miles Dunn has a look at the inside, can't quite get past him.
Now Harrison has a time penalty as well. He just picked one up there, so that could play into Miles Dunn's favour as well. That would currently put him ahead of him as well.
Yeah, ironically getting that penalty as he was passing the Racing Point back again. So Miles Dunn here, well, he's still so close.
Oh my God, he's right behind him.
Harrison, and trying to get side by side through turn 3. Harrison will have to leave him space on the inside at 4. Will Miles Dunn now be able to set up an overtake through turn 5?
I don't think he's going to be close enough, but Cobalt might be.
Look at Vapor Cobalt, so close in the McLaren. No,
Oof.
Can't quite get it down. Miles Dunn's DRS just about rescued in there in his battle with Vapor Cobalt. But such a tight battle now between these three for 6th place, and Harrison somehow is still at the front of it. He's defending for his life for that position. Jaez is still 3/10 of a second behind Lewis, and Carmen Robb is now falling a couple of seconds back from the Haas, so it looks a little bit of a 2-way fight for the victory. Jaez closing up with DRS on the Ferrari, not quite close enough just yet going into Stowe, but it's a matter of time, you'd feel, before Jaez gets the lead back.
I mean, the most important thing for Jaez is just not to pick up a penalty. That's the big thing right now. It doesn't matter quite how much whether he overtakes him or not, but if he gets a penalty, then it suddenly becomes a hell of a lot harder. Look at Vapor on those fresh soft tyres.
Yeah, what Jaez is doing right now will certainly work, and what Knowing Light and Vapor are doing is fighting for a position that isn't for the points, but who cares? It's good racing anyway, and Vapor has to settle in behind Knowing Light, who has just managed to get ahead of the Renault. So it's a real ding-dong battle here between these two. Vapor on very fresh, soft tyres, but Knowing Light is proving to be a little bit of a nuisance here in the Red Bull in front of him. He just will not let the Renault go, but surely here Vapor has got the run, he's got the inside line going into Stowe, and he has the move done. Into P11 he goes, but look at that, he has 25 seconds to make up if he is to catch up to 10th place, because Okajo, as Knowing Light runs wide on the exit of Stowe corner, just proving that those medium tyres aren't giving him that much grip, particularly in dirty air. Jaez then still half a second back from Lewis, so at the moment, as I say, doing exactly what he needs to do to pick up a victory in his first ever Formula PlayStation League Grand Prix. So barring a late penalty for himself, he should pick up the W here in Silverstone.
It caused a lot of pressure on Jaez now as well to not just run wide or cut a corner here or there, and suddenly, you know, got a time penalty, and now you have to overtake.
Particularly being that it is his first race as well, as here comes Miles Dunn, goes to the outside of Harrison this time. Is he going to have the grip round the outside? Harrison will break late, defend the inside, but Miles Dunn has it done. It's a brilliant move from Miles Dunn in the Racing Point. Lots of Dunns there, and Harrison has to stay behind the Racing Point, and surely now that's the move done for the... done again. That's the move completed for the Racing Point driver. And into 6th place, he's now 9 seconds though behind Canute, who has really caught up now to Vapor King. And he's reignited this battle for the podium.
Yeah, if Canute can get past King in this next lap or two, then you he might be able to catch up to Carmen Robb. I don't know if he'll be able to get past him, though. Of course, as the great Murray Walker said, it's one thing catching up, it's another thing completely overtaking. So,
yep, so it's difficult to get a move done on track, and as you say, easy enough to catch up, but that dirty air just plays such a massive factor into Copse Corner they come, where the dirty area play a part. Only bitten 4 wins from pole since 2010, and 2015 was the first win from pole here since 2009, when Sebastian Vettel won the Grand Prix. For the Team Red Bull's second victory in F1 as here comes
Jayez
Canoe.
has got past Lewis as well, further ahead.
Yes, he has. Jayez ahead of Lewis. Lewis trying to come back at him, but Lewis has to stay behind. So Jayez then has the lead on the timing screens, and he has the lead on track as well. And Vapor Canoe is past Vapor King. And Miles Dunn cannot be rid of Harrison, who has got ahead of the racing point again. So back down to 7th place goes Miles Dunn. Harrison, though, does have a penalty to his name. So Miles Dunn will have that position at the end of the Grand Prix, provided he doesn't pick up a penalty himself in the process. Yeah, Lewis then conceding the lead of the race on track. And you feel here, surely, as though this is gonna be.
Wow, look how close he is so into that corner there. So close there. Canoe and King are side by side as well.
Oh, and King coming back at Canoe. Canoe's going to try and cut back underneath on the exit of turn 7. They have a really good slingshot exit now through turn 8. Is it going to be enough going into turn 9? King goes defensive.
Come on, Canoe.
Canoe goes to the outside. No favouritism here, of course. Around the outside goes.
He's run so wide.
Very wide in the Williams. And that is that particular attempt gone. But,
Lewis has got another time penalty.
Lewis with another penalty that could put him off the podium. He's going for the lead here on track. He's throwing everything at Jayez, and it's cost him another few seconds, another few valuable seconds on track. He does retake the lead, but it's not going to be enough.
Canoe
does get back ahead of Vapor King for P4, but surely now at this point, it is not enough.
Vapor King. Every time the time penalty thing pops up now, I'm just checking to see if it's Jayez, you know, if I can decide this race.
Yeah, and it could, of course, hand it to Carmen Robb, depending on the penalties that are picked up. Lewis, at the minute, looks set to concede second place as well as first at the end of this Grand Prix on the penultimate lap then of the race, with Vapor King still right behind Canoe in their battle for 4th place. Miles Dunn is still harrying Harrison.
What a run!
He's got the inside for turn 3. Into Village he goes, and he gets ahead of Harrison, but Harrison's still there on the inside, going into turn 4, and through the loop then of 4 and 5 they go. There's Cobalt right behind the pair of them, and Miles Dunn and Harrison side by side.
Harrison's got DRS!
Well, and they're going to try and make it a 3-way fight into turn 6, but Harrison's got ahead. Miles Dunn once again has to settle for 7th place, and Cobalt still right behind them in 8th, just surveying the situation. Jayez, look how close he is to Lewis, and you would fancy the Haas here to get himself back in front of the Ferrari down the hangar straight with DRS going into Stowe corner. He's got the system, he's got the run,
up the inside
line on the Ferrari. Cobalt gets a penalty, meanwhile further back, but Jayez has the lead once again in the British Grand Prix. He would love to win this race on track as well as just on the timing screens, and going on to the last lap of the British Grand Prix. That could well be what he's about to do, but Lewis just will not give up. He at least wants to retain some pride and keep himself in with a shout of getting the win on track, and has a little look at the surgery. He's hit him, and Jayez does so well there to avoid spinning the car. And Lewis just slowed down as well to allow the Haas driver to regain himself. But Jayez now has to go defensive, because here comes Lewis. Tries to go to the outside of turn 6. This could be a brilliant
Miles Dunn as well.
Wheel-to-wheel contact. Down the inside goes Lewis. Jayez will try and hold the outside line going through turn 7. Brilliant bit of racing this between these two. And Lewis manages to get his Ferrari in front. Going into turn 9.
Further back as well, Miles Dunn and Cobalt both got past Harrison along the DRS straight.
There, and Cobalt then behind Miles Dunn, and surely that is Harrison's pursuit of turn 6 done, particularly with his penalty as well. Jayez then right behind Lewis. Can he retake the lead on track?
It's all going to come down to the last corner.
He's got the win in the bag anyway. Here has Jayez, but he's down the inside going into Stowe, and he once again has the lead on the last lap. Lewis tries to go to the outside of the Vale chicane. Pulling off in the Ferrari. It's an outstanding move from him. He takes the lead on track. He takes the win on track, but Jayez has the win.
And he loses second as well.
In a PlayStation League race, Carwin Robb gets second as a result of Lewis's penalties. Canute finishes P4, King behind him in 5th. Miles Dunn, after a massive battle with Harrison, will finish in P6. Harrison in the end does get 7th because of Cobalt's penalties. Benjamin will eventually round the final corner for 9th, and a couple of points for him. Bazooka Joe will be in P10 in the McLaren.
No, P9.
Benjamin's penalties. Ricochet will be quite a long way back in P11 in the Renault, and Knowing Light and Vapor Elian will follow him. A very disappointing race for the second Racing Point. A thrilling race out front. Jayez, I guess he would have been quite disappointed not to take the victory on track, but in his first ever race in the FPSL, he's got the win.
I'm just glad, to be honest, that those guys had those penalties, because if none of them had any penalties, I don't think the neighbours would have been particularly happy with that overtake at the end, if that had actually been for the race win. But what a race from the guys out front, you know, props to them. They kept it close, they kept it clean, and you can't ask for any more than that out of these top drivers.
Yeah, from the start of qualifying to the end of the Grand Prix at the checkered flag, it was uber competitive between everybody out front. Benjamin gets the Driver of the Day award. Yeah. I'd go for Will just for the intermediate tyres. But who would yours be, Matt?
You know, I've got to go with Jayez. What a race to announce your, you know, to make your name on the FPSL stage, and what a race between him and I'm drawing a blank. Lewis, thank you. Yep. Him and Lewis as well, you know, it's what a race that was. A great bit of battling, but to show that pace, to take pole, first ever race, bonus point as well, you can't complain.
Yeah, hell of a Grand Prix, and of course, as you say, the point for pole position as well for Jayez. Cohen Robb in 2nd place, Lewis in 3rd. Canute in P4, Vapor King P5. Miles Dunn has done pretty well to get P6 there in the end. Harrison in 7th, Cobalt in 8th, Bazooka Joe 9th, with Benjamin rounding out the top 10, and then Shea, Knowing Light, and Elian, with Neymar, Will, and James all out of the British Grand Prix. But it's Jayez here who takes the victory in the opening round of Season 7. His first ever FPSL race is a perfect one as far as he's concerned. Next Tuesday, we'll head to Sochi for round number 2. And if this Grand Prix is anything to go by, we are set for an excellent Season 8. Good night.